My name is Rabbi Cohen. I am what is known as an Orthodox Jew. That is a person who tries to live his life entirely in accordance with the ways of the age-old way of life known as Judaism. Zionism, in case people don't know, is the philosophy which was introduced approximately 100 years ago, and from which grew the idea of forming a nationalistic, sectarian state for one particular group of people to the disadvantage of others who happen to be in that area. That's Zionism, and then from there grew the idea of the State of Israel. There was an original Jewish indigenous population, not very large, but who had lived there for hundreds of years, and who lived alongside the Palestinian population very happily and very peacefully. And when the Zionist pioneers came, and I'll perhaps have the opportunity of telling you a little bit more about that in a moment, but when they came, alarm bells began to ring, of course, with the Palestinians, but certainly also with the Jewish indigenous population, the Orthodox Jewish indigenous population. And they began to oppose Zionism very strongly. And the name they gave to their opposition was Naturi Kata, meaning guardians of the faith. Incorporated or included in Judaism, when it was first revealed, was also the idea that we would be given a land and live in a specific land and carry out our lives and our way of life in that land. And that was the land of Palestine, the Holy Land, what is known now as Palestine. But this was promised to us only with certain conditions. And the conditions were basically that we had to maintain certain standards of ethical, moral, and religious requirements. And if those standards were not maintained, then we are taught in our teachings, and it's foretold that we would be sent away from the land, sent into exile. And in fact, this is what happened. For the first 1,500 years or so of the existence of the Jewish people, they were in the Holy Land, in Palestine. But sadly, the conditions required were not fulfilled to the correct degree. And as was foretold, we are told that there was a divinely decreed exile in which the Jews were sent out around the world, and history has shown that for the last 2,000 years, the Jewish people have been dispersed in the four corners of the globe. And we're told that we're not allowed to fight against this exile. We're not allowed to try and come out of this exile with the efforts of our own hands. We are taught that we have to just be satisfied in any land in which we find ourselves. We have to be loyal citizens of the countries in which we live. And this actually includes Palestine, because since we were sent into exile, the just regime there is not a Jewish regime. It is whichever is the indigenous population, and what has been for centuries is in fact the Palestinian people. So, therefore, what I have to explain, it is a basic part of our religion that we are not allowed to fight against this divinely decreed exile. And finally, we're told that to do so and to try and form a state of our own again in Palestine would bring about dire consequences, very terrible consequences. That is the Jewish religious approach to the whole question of forming a state in Palestine. In other words, we have, from a Jewish religious belief point of view, Jews have no right to rule and have a state of their own in Palestine.
Palestine was a land without people. Jews were a people without land. This was the slogan of sympathy used by Zionist hands to persuade Britain's assistance in establishing land in Jerusalem, a national home for Jewish man. Frankenstein did the same in his creation of monsters, robbing coffins, joining up pieces of the dead and conquered. A secret agreement was signed by USA, UK and European Zionists strive to get Jews in Palestine. They launched campaigns calling Jews to migrate to stolen land. Some Jews refused to immigrate, others hold their hands. Similar to Frankenstein's maker, binding the dead, minds in a mess, adding a stitch, see the lines in his chest. Forced by the hands of wickedness, preserved in organic soup, spiritless. Are you keeping the comparative images? Enhance the vividness. That secret agreement signed was the un-United Kingdom's addition to British colonial crimes. Balfours Declaration 1917. Outpours, deprivation, eyes bleed, severed dreams, the state of Israel. Built on the souls of Muslim blood. Balfour birthed the seeds of terror and holy mud. Bolts of lightning escapes from electric clouds, striking his beast of damnation who arose from a shroud. It's alive, Balfour's Frankenstein, wreaking havoc upon the earth like giants in Palestine. It's alive, Balfour's Frankenstein, wreaking havoc upon the earth like giants in Palestine.
So I'm alive, yes, alive, but kicking got a swatch, stick a crest, press the breast and hidden by my left uncle slam, grabs my arm and with him standing tall by the door is the Lord I adore. Balfour, much more than the father for sure, guarantor for my war and the land that I saw. Let the saga commence, yes. Uncle Sam's got a plan, got my back, my allowance, my quest blessed. By any means, fill the land with my seeds. If I must kill my own, drown a ship, blow a bus, exodus of a thief, laying claim. I'm a beast, wanna feast on the east, crunch the young with my teeth, never leave. No, I want it all, orange groves in your souls, your mosques in your homes. May 14, 1948, no heart in my chest, just a plate full of hate. I'm alive, Balfour's Frankenstein, wreaking havoc on the earth, Zionist in Palestine. I'm alive, Balfour's Frankenstein, wreaking havoc on the earth, Zionist in Palestine.
From Palestine, first pictures of the latest bomb outrage. Jewish terrorists blow up the Goldsmith Officers Club in Jerusalem. 13 Britons were killed and 16 injured. Total casualties on this one day of violence was 18 dead and 25 injured. Says Palestine Commander-in-Chief General Macmillan, the men responsible for these killings are not terrorists. They're just plain thugs and murderers.
ايش في خالد؟
ولو
ايش في؟
خلاص بكفي جننت انا البنت بعدين انت اللي الاولاد بتراكم منها.
هالشيء يا عمو بعد الخمس نازل بالك تقدر تبكى.
Dear Lord, little Issa was out, side throwing rocks and he just got caught, or rather identified. He ran home to hide, but they followed him, now they right outside. Baby crying, Bubba, it's cool, come out from under the bed, covered his head with a towel, cause I knew what was next. The window smashed, in came the canisters, loaded with gas. What the I grabbed the mask, Issa's choking, slid mine over his face, eyes tearing, didn't know how much I could take. I rinsed this towel in some water, held it over my mouth and thanked the Lord that my wifey was out with Issa under my arm. I went out back to find her, way to get out, but saw they surrounded the house. It's like they playing with us, trying to flush us both out, but I knew what all them guns were about. Damn, son, what's wrong? He said something about a bombing. He had fireworks up in his room. I got mad at first, stressed, it got the worst of me. But then it struck me as a sign of God's mercy. I'm sorry, Issa, where you keep them at? He said, under the bed, so that's where I went. Yo, I took the lot off the balcony and set them all off as the firecrackers popped. They sounded like gunshots. I hoped and prayed that that's what the truth thought. They made their way round the back of the house. They congregated for a second to figure shit out. That's all I needed though. Grabbed these, jumped out the window and up the side alley to hide with the kinfolk. That I was born in, the house my son was born in and raised in, on the floor, right by the window, the one we escaped from. Now that's life under occupation, that is occupation.
Without the support of the United States, the state of Israel would have long collapsed because they don't have the economic structure, infrastructure to be able to exist without the assistance that the United States pumps into them. Why the United States, and to a degree this country, support the state of Israel is a puzzle. Somebody once described the state of Israel as a huge aircraft carrier in which the United States would have a base in order to be able to spring from there in case of need, in order to protect their interests there. But they claim that they're supporting a so-called democratic state, and it's not. It's patently undemocratic because a certain half of the existing population there are deprived of their rights, and the other half, most of them had no right to be there in the first place.
Listen. The beast of the Middle East. Listen, yo. While little kids draw boulders and soulless soldiers, you're in Marks and Spencer's buying Coca-Cola, donating the guns for these vultures holsters, and you don't even know you're involved, you jokers. I can't laugh, my brother, it ain't funny. You say you don't support the beast, but you gave money. See me, I won't contribute to the genocide, whatever they try. Palestine will never die, so keep the roadmap. You give them billions to kill Palestinians, and that's a known fact. How many children have to die in the streets before we put a stop to this Zionist beast? And Palestine's people can live well. Israel equals the US equals Israel. They're funding this terror in the worst way. Welcome to Israel, the 51st state.
Star-spangled banner, side with the snakes. Big guns and big funds, the US of A. Handshakes and mandates, the lies and the hate. Welcome to Israel, the 51st state.
Time for some action, people stop debating. Every single day they decrease the population. Inside out, it's an evil operation. Ask whoever you want, it's a legal occupation. America wants to pretend they're helping the children, but they just give Israelis the weapons to kill them. They give them the tanks for wrecking the buildings. The facts always come to light, you can never conceal them. Even as I spit and record this, people die and these evangelical Christians support it, forming an alliance with the Zionist lobby, while over here these spies are trying to stop me. We just want our people to live well. Israel equals the US equals Israel. They're funding this terror in the worst way. Welcome to Israel, the 51st
51st state.
Star spangled banner, side with the snakes. Big guns and big funds, the US of A. Handshakes and matches, the lads and the hate. Welcome to Israel.
They found the bombshells and guns and F-16 planes. They came mums and sons and still don't get blamed. United States bullets, a sniper post-slain, a schoolgirl, the world just watches, no shame. Israeli fighters stopped and renamed, hide stars and stripes on the cockpit mainframes. Nuclear warheads aim to inflame, no prizes for guessing where those designs came. It ain't just occupation, it's M&S occupation, US subjugation, hate-funded invasion, dislocation, state-run degradation of a nation. Book no vacations to this hell. Israel equals US, the US equals Israel. They fund mass murder in the worst way. Welcome to Israel, the 51st state.
Star spangled banner, side with the snakes. Big guns and big funds, the US of A. Handshakes and mandate, the lies and the hate. Welcome to Israel, the 51st state.
What Americans say or don't say makes no difference at all. These are all empty words. It's nothing. It's important what they do and don't do. In fact, Bush has let Sharon have completely free hand. So the Americans believe that as long as Arafat is not killed, as long as we don't blow up the Haram al-Sharif, as long as we don't do anything very, very radical and extreme, the Arab masses will do nothing. The Arab governments will do nothing. And up to now, this has been proven right. So within these limits, Sharon can do whatever he wants.
Take a look
in my eye. See the pain and the pressure that I feel in my mind. Every day I'm stuck in the grind. They got the finger on the trigger cause they want me to die. See, I'm just trying to fight for my brothers. And I'm just trying to protect my sisters. Why they trying to take what is mine? It ain't easy living life when you in Palestine.
Yo, every day is straight grinding, counting my blessings. I'm surrounded by IDF troops pointing their weapons. My decisions to stay outside have just backfire. See the tanks rolling close with the soldiers inside. I can't hide, cause everywhere I go to be forces. Whenever bombs drop, it's our land of the torches. Another man shot, got his arm around his daughters, only to find out the two bodies are corpses. I see his face drop, tears pour from his eyes. With his hands in the sky, brother screaming out, why? I make dua to Allah for his family and pray that the Most High help him through this tragedy. Nobody knows why, this is how it has to be. You watch the TV, but we see reality. They don't seem to hesitate to go and blasting me. You tell me what I'm supposed to do when they attacking me. Take a look
in my eye. See the pain and the pressure that I feel in my mind. Every day I'm stuck in the grind. They got the finger on the trigger cause they want me to die. See, I'm just trying to fight for my brothers. And I'm just trying to protect my sisters. Why they trying to take what is mine? It ain't easy living life when you in Palestine.
Yo, it's hard enough trying to run from these savages. Now they're bulldozing our homes, man, I ain't having this. It's like we living to die, we feel no happiness. Every day we wake up and see plenty more damages. Another brother dies, another mother cries, and still the infrared beams in between my eyes. That's how we live our lives, we gotta sacrifice. The kind of struggle we're facing they don't realize.
vandalize. They cause the devastation, commit the occupation. Somehow we the terrorists if we defend our nation. This is a fabrication. They say we must be patient while they're destroying our land and saying it's liberation. It's some misinformation. We live in dark days where the bloodstains stay stuck up on the pathways. Just when I thought it was safe to go to the masjid, I see a van with the imam up in the casket. Take a look, take a look, take a look in my eye. See the pain and the pressure that I feel in my mind. In my mind, every day I'm stuck in the grind. They got the finger on the trigger cause they want me to die. They want me to die. See, I'm just trying to fight for my brothers, and I'm just trying to protect my sisters, Why they trying to take what is mine? It ain't easy living life when you in Palestine.
Khaled, تعال. What's on your mind, bro?
Man. والله العظيم أخوي يا أخي blood, I can't take this anymore, man. I can't take this anymore, man. This ain't serious. Look at our people, they're divided, almost conquered. So bonkers out here, I ain't gonna have it. I'm gonna stand up. Because the truth is real and the lies are fake, simple as Palestine, out to you, let's go. I come from Palestine, Palestine used to be free, but in time genocide is really what it seems. Is it a dream or is it hopelessness, like reclaiming 2,000 years of the home ownership? Little kids killed in their classes, bullets raining daycare, nightmares seen right there through their glasses. Women giving birth but barred from hospital, while lies sympathize with those who ain't honorable. And this ain't some next song, this is me tracing back my dad's footsteps to a city called Hebron. And let's go back to Saladin and the truth as it goes. The Muslim army saved the Jews, the chance to go back to the city that they love, but in time they forgot and got a thirst for blood. They left the religion, then they lied and twist like the Templar Knights and the Zionists. This is Slingshot hip-hop, Palestine rhymes. This is Slingshot hip-hop, Palestine's time. This is Slingshot hip-hop, Palestine rhymes. This is Slingshot hip-hop, Palestine's time. They hate me cause I'm real, I hate them cause they're wasted. They hate me cause I'm Arab, I hate them cause they're racist. They hate me cause I'm better, I hate them cause they're useless. They hate me cause I'm Muslim and I hate them cause they're stupid. All in all, no one can say that Israel today didn't go and make a modern Berlin Wall. Tanks against stones, how could that ever work? That the whole world watches as little kids get murked. And tell me please, cause my only explanation is world domination through the followers of Satan. And what gets me proper, even in war, Palestinians have the most amount of Arab doctors. So just picture how they survive when the real situation isn't even ever really televised. And the question is why? It's misery wrapped in mystery while hidden inside of a disguise. It's lifeless, trying to figure out the heartless. From London, living in apartments, to Gaza, the West Bank. This is what we go through. Palestinian climbing walls, and then we show you. This is Slingshot hip-hop, Palestine rhymes. This is Slingshot hip-hop, Palestine's time. This is Slingshot hip-hop, Palestine rhymes. This is Slingshot hip-hop, Palestine's time. They hate me cause I'm real, I hate them cause they're wasted. They hate me cause I'm Arab, I hate them cause they're racist. They hate me cause I'm better, I hate them cause they're useless. They hate me cause I'm Muslim and I hate them cause they're stupid. This is Slingshot hip-hop, Palestine rhymes. This is Slingshot hip-hop, Palestine's time. This is Slingshot hip-hop, Palestine rhymes. This is Slingshot hip-hop, Palestine's time. Hip-hop. Yeah. This one's out to Kanaan, Nuruddin, Khaled, Abu Hamid, Dev, Gaza. You know you're rolling DR, the dynamic rapper in the middle of Gaza. Yeah, I'm showing you love. Wallahi azim min qalbi aqul lakum kullukum. You know what I'm saying? This is how we roll. United we stand. We will never fall ever. Perceptions is something, but reality is another.
It was the issue back in the 70s, it's the issue in the 21st century, and the issue is not, as it's reported, an Israeli-Palestinian conflict. It is the longest running military occupation in the world.
One morning, the rain was pouring on the soil of Palestine, and an orphan boy aged 5 looked up to the usual tank, survived. He thought another way, another day to survive, so we took a dive into the back streets of Jenin. His heart was pumping with pride, so he picked up the nearest stone he had seen. Then he took a clean cut shot at the tank, and as he looked up, his heart sank. But as the tank drew nearer, the boy's vision was clearer. He thought, how can I fear the one who had taken my father and mother? So we took another shot at one another. All of a sudden, an Israeli gunner had immersed him, pointed the gun, and so the curse was about to take its next fatality. And lo, the abnormality and arrogant nature of these soldiers had taken place, and a nearly forgotten race had lost one more from its blood-stained streets. The boy was weak, and the bullet wound to his chest was left to seep his last bit of blood. The soldier did not care, and the smug look on his face will soon be washed with the fire. And the boy and other martyrs will be raised higher on thrones of dignity by our Messiah, who will destroy the boy of so-called great empires ruled by liars.
And what we're now seeing is a kind of final solution to the problem of Palestine as the US and the Israelis see it. So the solution is to starve the Palestinians. The US will starve them while the Israelis fire missiles at them on the beach.
Allah took dust and low Adam was created. If Allah takes away from me the light of my eyes, my heart remains illuminated. And so it's stated, the words come forth once again from the throne of the Lord, quaking the earth's floor and making my tongue become like the blade of an unsheathed sword. He knows of when I die and all of what comes forth after they cut the umbilical cord. So can I afford for Satan to turn me while many Muslims cry, no more mercy, hurt me no more? From the core of 4 doors leading to 4 more wars, when the seas are poured forth from all 4 shores, blood of a martyr pours forth from more wars, artillery spoken from American dreams woken, with more guns to shoot more sons soon to be forgotten. From semen to clot to innocent child only alive to be shot dead from feet to head. Muhammad al-Durra shot dead with lead. His final words he said, Father, don't worry, the ambulance will be here soon. But soon was gloom and the angel of death was sooner. As for the future of such a boy, his will be the ultimate of rewards from a Lord who deals with the oppressor on his own accord, and those fall through stroke on the last path. But if you seek worldly desires, you'll face a last wrath, making the math of your equations satanic invasions, internal dilemmas for those foes still being blinded by the Freemasons.
When I was in Gaza a few years ago, the thing that struck me was the trauma suffered by Palestinian children who survived. And many had been killed, of course, and most of those were killed above the waist and usually in the head, what they call sniper's wounds. So they were deliberately killed.
So how? The final cell for those foes that repel the likes of creed we need, yet we still bleed for greed while wrongdoers belittle. If you had seen the likes of hell, you would cry much and laugh little. I'm stuck in the middle of life's hypocritical riddles. A little do we know of the hereafter, with its screams of fiends and non-existent laughters. And for those who ascribe partners, beware from the glare of an angel striking you deep within a lair of torture. Ask, will I be happily deceased or a mourner of what I used to earn? Will I be raised high or will I burn? When is it my turn and when am I next? Will I be shaded or of them sweating to necks? For lo, a day when the trumpet is blown and man will come to know of what Allah should bestow upon a face of glow or a face of sorrow. For tomorrow is hollow for those foes that follow the devil's disciples. Devil's recitals will only take your life away as it being shot by Zionists with rifles.
فلسطيني أنا اسمي فلسطيني لقصصني على كل الميادين بقطب الزهر زن يسمو على كل العناوين حروف اسمي تلاحقني تعالجني تغنيني فلسطيني
Why did these evil people keep going to her country? Why did they kill her daddy and take away her mommy? Why did they shoot her brother
ask me to please wipe your eyes. Your mum and daddy didn't die, they were taken away by Allah. You'll see them again on another day. Allah loves the girl who prays, so maybe when you get raised you'll meet them again, inshallah. Have faith in your creator, don't turn your back on the maker. In this life of the prisoner, in the next life celebrate her. Yes, sinning is a major, but everyone does a minor. Just don't let it take over, make sure you do your tawbah. I'm considered as an older, with an advice for the younger generation that has just taken up their shahada. But I'm feeling like a baby, the devil's got me crazy. I'm rolling down the hill, it's getting worse and worse daily. Now if I can walk straightly on the road that he gave to me, then maybe there's a place for me in heaven when he raises me. And you could do the same as me, she could do the same as you, but they could do the same as us, and then we can together move.
Why did these evil people keep going to her country? Why did they kill her daddy and take away her mommy? Why did they shoot her brother?
Tell me why.
Why did they rape her sister?
Tell me why.
She don't understand.
Now excuse me, Mr. Shotter on the block. I know you're kinda happy with the lifestyle that you got. You ever know you love your ladies and your Ralph Lauren shirt, but you call yourself a Muslim, now it's time to put in work. You didn't feel the bullet, but believe me, she did. Now imagine that was happening to one of your kids. You're claiming you believe like you wear it on your sleeve. Now it's time to start giving to the children that's in need. And please, excuse me sister, dancing in the club with your eyebrows just plucked, face full of makeup. I don't know whether you noticed, but your little sister's homeless, the house just got blown up. So while you're over here bumping and grinding, drinking and smoking, laughing and joking, she was over there crying and weeping. She's choking when she's eating, got no bed to sleep in.
Why did these evil people keep going to her country? Why did they kill her daddy and take away her mommy? Why did they shoot her brother? Why did they rape her sister? She don't understand.
Everybody that's listening to my verses, don't really matter what your race is, from the places where the shots don't fly around. It's time to make some changes, choose from your choices, whether the baddest or the moist. It's time to turn your life around. To everybody that's listening to my verses, don't really matter what your race is, from the places where the shots don't fly around. It's time to make some changes, choose from your choices, whether the baddest or the moist. It's time to turn your life around. To everybody that's listening to my verses, don't really matter what your race is, from the places where the shots don't fly around. It's time to make some changes, choose from your choices, whether the baddest or the moist. It's time to turn your life around. To everybody that's listening to my verses, don't really matter what your race is, from the places where the shots don't fly around. It's time to make some changes, choose from your choices, whether the baddest or the moist. It's time to turn your life around. To everybody that's listening to my verses, don't really matter what your race is, from the places where the shots don't fly around. It's time to make some changes, choose from your choices, whether the baddest or the moist. It's time to turn your life around. To everybody that's listening to my verses, don't really matter what your race is, from the places where the shots don't fly around. It's time to make some changes, choose from your choices, whether the baddest or the moist. It's time to turn your life around.
Wissam, Palestine, drowning sounds and screams in the crowd. Yeah,
tell me, when will you raise your hands for me? Why have my peace abandoned me? I never hang as a refugee.
Can you believe?
Tell me, where is the army Muslim me? Where is the faithful rescue me? Where's the imams?
To those who rolled in Gaza, garden grows from demands. Love from your brothers, we give a strive for your fam. Plus, every mother that's lost a child like a man humps. Stop their mothers, don't ever cry for us, man. Trust. Listen, we live and die for Islam, cuz spilling our blood, but we're willing to fight back. Visions are killing, I'm filling your screens now, but somehow they've made us the villains. I scream how, bruv. Yeah, they must have had it all planned, just waiting for Satan to bait him a big hand. While we're debating, they're taking up more land. They're breaking up housing, making it foul in the ground. Roads are stolen, grows from old hands, bro. It's not enough, got them raising the wall now. They're taking us all out, we're having a crawl out. Over the border, we're hearing them call out.
Tell me, when will you raise your hands for me? Why have my peace abandoned me? I live at home as a refugee. Tell me, where is the army Muslim me?
Where's the army,
man? Where is the faithful rescue me? Where's the imams?
Yo, we ain't the ones you're going from for. We know you're scared of your friends, they in the land to espousing your thousands in. You see how you blended it? Those are the facts in your back and you're bending it. When they attacked, it was us who defended it. Instead of thanks, it's your tanks that you're sending in. No, that can't be one in it. The first Qibla you bar me sing, the sixth Adhan, enact the Quran for the army. The pact every act in Islam is in. Backtrack, take it back to Salahuddin. Brothers in arms, cause they harming al-Aqsa again. Ring the alarm, armored tanks that leave a bleeding mother's heart. West Bank where the kids are screaming, ya Allah.
Tell me, when will you raise your hands for me? Why have my people abandoned me? I live at home as a refugee. Tell me, where is the army Muslim me? Where is the faithful rescue me? Where's the Imam Salahud? Tell me, when will you raise your hands for me? Why have my people abandoned me? I live at home as a refugee. Tell me, where is the army Muslim me? Where is the faithful rescue me? Where's the Imam Salahud?
When are you people gonna tell the people the truth about us? Instead of stop telling them we're terrorists. Who have we bumped? Which individual have we attacked? Now you open our mosque. We're the ones that have been praying on the street. And now you want to violate us again. I'll fight you. That's what you wanted to hear, isn't it? You want me to fight you? I bow this to Allah. And I do not accept you or your authority. I do not accept Tony Blair or Bush. I accept Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I do not fear you people. You people are acting on hate. You show no compassion, no mercy, because it's not instilled into you. You're just bullies. Bullies. Let me show this man what for. What you gonna do? Lock me up? What else you gonna do? Beat me up? What else you gonna do? What can you do?
When will you raise your hands for me? Why have my people abandoned me? I live at home as a refugee. Tell me, where is the army Muslim me? Where is the faithful rescue me? Where's the Imam Salahud? Tell me, when will you raise your hands for me? Why have my people abandoned me? I live at home as a refugee. I live at home like a refugee. Where is the army Muslim me? Where is the faithful rescue me? Where's the Imam
West Bank, Gaza, come on.
When you gonna rescue me? When you gonna rescue
I will tell you of a truth that is never remembered in the Septembers of our lives. Sabra was the name of a poor neighbourhood in the southern outskirts of West Beirut. Stylah, a refugee camp set up for the Palestinians in 1949. Over the years, the two areas became ever more mingled, and by the autumn of 1982, their population had been swelled by Muslims fleeing the illegal occupation of South Lebanon by the Israeli army. On September the 15th, 1982, the Israeli military completely surrounded and sealed off the camps from the outside world. They set up observation posts on the roofs of nearby tall buildings to watch the events of the 16th, 17th and the 18th. In the evening of September the 16th, 1982, with permission and guided by Israeli flares, a group of Flange militia armed with guns, knives and hatchets entered Sabra and Stylah. During the following 36 hours, they murdered 3,500 old men, women and children. The figures are disputed. It's difficult to count the souls of those buried tangled in mass graves, or crushed under the very houses they sought refuge from within, or scattered face down on roadsides fleeing. On witnessing the massacre, we are told by journalists that their stories were written by the flies that would land on their notepads, wearing boots of blood. and the warlord responsible for this ultra-violence was later rewarded with the proud prime ministerial colours of his nation. To this day, no one has been prosecuted for this mass murder. Those screams of mutilated anguish on those dark, lonely nights in a Beirut suburb have only amplified with every passing year. Their martyrs will continue to haunt us to learn. What is it that they would teach me? Never to trust that which is precious to those who cannot and will not value it. Learn to value the blood on those boots. Let me catch each drop and promise. Promise that my children and their children after them will learn the truth, that our arms must thicken and our shoulders must broaden so that we can bear the responsibilities of protecting what is ours. To survive those bloody corridors of Sabra and Shatila, a child's head must only meet with the lips of its mother, not the edge of an axe. The ones we love must be buried in white cloth, not under diesel caterpillar tracks of hate. The shelters we build should not be used to crush the life they give sanctuary to beneath them. And the thickest arms and the broadest shoulders are those of the caliphs. Inshallah.
Reach out and help me. Oh, my days are cloudy. I can see the rain and tears. Reach out and help me. Oh, my days are cloudy. I can see.
Yeah. Palestine, I'm reaching out to my brothers fighting in Palestine, dying in battle crimes, keep striving, you have your time. They tried to rape you, take you and break you with savage lies. They tried to beat you, mistreat you and leave you paralyzed. But Palestine, you're the Muslim side, you're the Arab side. Inshallah with that good inside, you catch the flight to paradise. Grab your knife, grab your eye and fight and let them have it live. Palestine, I agonize for every mum that's lost a son, every single dad that's died. With tanks with armor, make man a martyr, don't act surprised. You can catch the drama on Panorama, it's hardly classified. Analyze savage crimes against humanity. Families die randomly at the hands of these parasites. Blood-stained Israeli flag, too much pain this nation's had. Recognize it's prophesied, so one day we're taking back Palestine, 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 Palestine. How many more war crimes could be committed before we see through these Zionist lies and we reach our limits? I mean, they cut off power supplies and seize all the bridges, bombed a lot of schools and hospitals while people are in it. They call us British, they're slaughtering our brothers and sisters. Just read the statistics, dealing with the evil and wicked. They're seeking to weaken the infrastructure, slam and attack the culture, contaminate the water, natural growth and agriculture. Innocent people starve, what's their excuse for the killings? Using children as human shields while they shoot from the buildings. Will we see peace at last? Not while the ruthless and willing abusing prisoners, your freedoms are fast. The IDF blasting the innocent people with weapons. Violation of United Nations Geneva Convention, it's alarming. Neglect of a country hungry and starving. So step inside a genocide, cause that's what's really going in Palestine, 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 Palestine. I said blood-stained Israeli flag, too much pain this nation's had. Recognize it's prophesied, so one day we're taking back Palestine. But life's a rocky road when you're fighting with rocks and stones, and the Zionist monster wants your soul. Bulldoze your home and block your roads while it's watched across the globe. Fighting tanks and guns, but still you got resolve against Israeli occupation, forsaking obligations. I'm reaching out to my brothers in pain across the nation. Palestine, 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 Palestine.
own foe. Swear to God, truth hurts and it burns slow. I never thought for a sec of my dead bros. I never cared for a soul, just my fam and the kinfolk that lived close. And even though I would march forth and oppose all the war, I suppose it was in so I would go with the flow for the show, feeling good by myself, shouting slogans and insults. And had I known all that info, what I know now, who am I, why I'm alive, what I live for, would have done more, should have said more. So I bow to my Lord, bow to the stone floor, sinful, and ask forgiveness for past deeds. Philistine, my deen dictates, my heart bleeds. I've seen on the screens the pain that you've lived, so I think of my son Yasin and what ifs. Blasted the home with the shells for laughs and just smashed it. And what hurts the most is thoughts that these bastards from coast to coast get to boast with laughter. And of course for most it's just loads of headstones. White shrouds adorn shaheeds, don't do caskets. We mourn the young and yet to be born. From night to morning no flags are half-masted. It's deep, they weep, asleep, their air blasted. Blood stains the sheets but souls don't get blasted. I ask this of all those who claim to be. Ever seen what they did in Jenin? I mean, it's been a scene after scene of genocide. They scream, but it seems they ain't deemed or seen as human beings. The core of their being is torn, they ain't fleeing. They're sworn to die free in their homes, they cry, see them.
Allahu Akbar ya shabab al-Islam. Allahu Akbar ya ummat al-Quran. Allahu Akbar ya ummat la ilaha illallah. Muhammadun Rasulullah. يا صاحب الإسراء والمعراج هذا هو الأقصى الأسير يناجي.
Okay, it's on, enough's enough, come on. We're tired, we're done, the blood, the tears, it's rough. The young, our peers, our mums, our sons, they're tough. These wolves, they huff, they puff, let's call their bluff. We must and trust in Deen is clear. One hand we stand as one and have no fear except the one above. One love, no bumps, just heart, just tongue, takbir. My soul, my seed, my faith, the truth, my gun. Indeed, I'm ready to bleed if need be done. Load the clip full of facts, that's how the West is won. Got the young in my pack, ready to ride shotgun. Armed with none but a verse from the Holy Quran. We're speaking out, you're making out like we dropped some bombs. Got the sun and the times feeding the numb and dumb. Thought crimes and deceit, just a web well spun. Front page got my creed and you're poking fun. I mean enough's enough, it's time to represent. I got a message for the man on bloodstained letterhead. The letter read to Mr. Blair and dear President. When push comes to shove, we got the evidence. It's evident that our blood is deemed irrelevant. Palestine or Iraq's the same predicament. You're hell-bent, we're heaven sent, and in any event, for the sake of betterment, oppose the government, never hesitant. اللهم انصرنا في فلسطين وفي العراق وفي الشيشان وفي كشمير وفي جميع أنحاء العالم يا أرحم الراحمين.
Zionism is, as I mentioned earlier, a secular idea. This was brought in only about 100 years ago. Judaism is thousands of years old. Zionism is approximately 100 years ago, 100 years old. Brought in by Jews who discarded their religion. They did not want to accept that it was a divinely decreed exile. They just said, we're in exile because of our own subservient attitude. They called it the Golus attitude. Golus is the Hebrew word for exile. And they said, no, let's form a state of our own. Let's fight our way out of the exile. Let's force our way out of the exile. And from a Jewish religious belief point of view, this flies entirely in the face of Jewish teaching, because this defies the fact that fact it is a divinely decreed situation and signifies a total lack of belief in the divine control of what goes on in this world. Jewish religion, as I believe other religions as well, teaches compassion for one's fellow man, teaches consideration for the rights and property of one's fellow man, and of course teaches consideration and compassion for the lives of one's fellow man. Now, Zionism is the exact antithesis of this, because it is very well recorded in the writings of the founding Zionists and in their public statements that they were consciously prepared to overlook the indigenous population in Palestine and to form a state over the heads of the indigenous population against their wishes, to form a sectarian state, a state for one particular grouping. And you cannot have, and of course this set up a confrontation. Once they began, the initial pioneers began to arrive in Palestine with this aim in mind. This set up a confrontation between the newly arrived pioneers, Zionist pioneers, and the Palestinian indigenous population, because whereas they got on very well with the old Jewish indigenous population, because the old Jewish population had no desire to impose themselves upon their neighbors. But here were people who were going to form a state of their own and push the indigenous population out of the way. So this set up a confrontation which started approximately 100 years ago and which has produced terrible bloodshed and loss of life on both sides. Zionism preaches forcefulness and lack of consideration for one's fellow man, a total ignoring of the rights of the indigenous population. And therefore you can see that the ideals, both from a religious belief point of view and from the values of humanitarianism point of view, are totally incompatible with Judaism. So to be against Zionism, to be against secularism, to be against militaristic nationalism, to be against colonialism, has got nothing to do with the old-fashioned anti-Semitism, which was simply a form of bigotry, and thankfully has, for the time being, hopefully will carry on that way, doesn't exist to a large degree these days. The two are totally, in the same way as Zionism and Judaism are two different concepts, anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism are two totally different concepts. However, the Zionists, they like to set themselves up as representatives of the Jewish people. And they say, yes, we represent the Jewish people, and therefore, if you oppose us, you are anti-Semitic. But they're trying to, as the saying goes, trying to pull the wool over your eyes. That is, the two are totally different concepts.
But I am searching
I got this vivid dream of living in Philistine. Rivers are clean and children can swim in streams and women can live in peace. Peace of mind that when the kid leaves the site, he'll return in one piece, and leaves grow on trees and seeds. Grow to be anything from scholars to doctors, nothing stopping the prosper. No war, no more anarchy. Can it be it's just a dream, or is this dream a distant reality?
I'm from the crew that was born and raised up in the streets, so you know it's nothing new for us to raise up the heat. I see them killing you before that they was killing me. Bro, I feel the pain too, you ain't even got to speak. I know what I gotta do, begin to practice what I preach. But every time I try to move, the devil tries to hold my feet. I left my crew to join your family, this life's deep. Now I watch the news and see your casualty, the dean's weak.
What will it take to put an end to the oppression that's caused? Persecuted massacres will never bow to your laws. Forced to flee from my houses, now in refugee camps. We pick up stones from the rubble, why you shooting off tanks? I dedicate this to the martyrs, those who fight it regardless, digging their graves in Janine before facing those bastards, so they can never strip away our pride. Cause under Khilafah, inshallah, we'll terminate this genocide.
So what you waiting on? There's nothing coming after this except the ground that they lower you in. Ain't no repentance at that stage if you're raging now. Let's grab your weapon, the lesson is setting sooner and dunyas exam and test. And if we fail then we die in shame, cause for confession we let it slip, so crying shame. We learn our lesson, I tell them never again. You bleed, I bleed, we bleed. One seed, one deed, the cool Philistine.
Have a moment of silence. Now can we please stand up in defiance? Now can we please speak the haqq if it means causing ruckus and rock to brock oppression and violence? And let them know that deen is what binds us, and let them know that Allah's behind us, and let them know that we've been here before, proper bleeding and poor, we're ready to brawl with tyrants, it's mindless.
الله أكبر حياتنا وين صارة وكيف شربت المي أصبحت نارة والنار شربت المي ريتك تسمعني شوي 1000 ولا 2000 بعطيك يا ناي بلا سمسارة بالإيمان منارة وما في شي حينحل ببساطة بدديك بالرطاطاطاطا صباح الخير ليه ضربت الساعة.
Brothers and sisters, you're in my brain all the time in invisible chains. I see the strain on your mind, kinda hard to explain the pain that you feel inside. Helicopters and planes that aim, everybody dies. Think they're hearing your cries, your eyes, your tears like oceans. They blame it on you, like you started a commotion. Every second's a blessing, the weapon is devotion to Allah alone. Let's get this revival in motion.
May Allah bring wrath on the oppressors like the people of Sodom. Harassing loot, peace be upon them. I connect the struggle wrapped in Palestinian cotton, with huge stone throwing on the Gaza bank against enemies no less than a tank. Ain't these youths like Dawood and Jalut? With parts of my heart I craft this message with the blood of Mujahid troops. The difference between us and them is we have the truth. Palestine, my heart will blanket your soul like a parachute.
Pushing tanks like the elephants of Abraham. SubhanAllah, the courage of these peoples like the mighty soul of Omar. Fathers being murdered, sisters swallowed with the Kalashnikov. Hijabs covered with blood, still fighting the soldiers off. Air raids, distorting a peaceful vision. My people are waiting for the Mahdi to come and commence the cataclysm. These young troops get stomped with muddy boots. Armageddon jugglers strike you demons to your home, Jahannam.
There are problems in the community. Some of those examples of those problems are the vices that destroy the moral fiber in our community. We cannot think of being acceptable to others until we have first proven acceptable to ourselves. concerning nonviolence. It is criminal to teach a man not to defend himself when he is the constant victim of brutal attack.
Stand up. Yo, they should've never let us out of the basement, cause the roads are crack if we march on the pavement. We ain't part of the equation, coming down with a caveman. I force you to sit back and lean back in amazement. It's a culture clash, described as a backlash. You surprised I'm not satisfied with shaking hard cash? Nah, I stand up and dash whatever bottles a beer crash. They only talking to me with truncheons and tear gas. That's my language, yeah. Broken bones, but broken hopes. Some broken homes don't get bandaged. Feel this anguish, burning flames, and rivers are covered in burgundy blood stains. The pop a body, nobody seems to explain why. No weapons was found on the body even nearby. Woman don't cry, wipe your eye and keep your head high, cause if you did that, but they never let the tears dry.
Stand up and demand some answers. See past the lies and these ignorant classes.
Stand up for your rights, like Marley said. They carry on like we ain't here, but we're hardly dead. Stand up for equality, a life equality, where the law don't bother me, no war or poverty.
Stand up till it's peaceful
against all evils. Stand up, put your hands up, stand for your people.
Yo, my people, please just keep on standing, even though the circle of pain just keeps expanding. Even though on road these days we're labeled and branded, handed a set of rules, but we can't understand them. Mend them, who's on lock, banged up in a slammer minor. It's not long for you back on the manor. The truth of the matter, they ain't no truth in the matter. The truth is back home, we got troops in the manor. You see, use is cool now on tools, not Puma jewels. Nikes, they lost their sense of humor. Plus, RPM a civil rights abuser. You need your soldiers back home, not loose in Fallujah. Move out, handle your home affairs. Your home secretary should handle his own affairs. It's like blind justice, but no one cares. Stand up for your justice, but no one dares.
Stand up
and demand some answers. See past the lies and these ignorant classes.
Stand up for your rights, like Marley said. They carry on like we ain't here, but we're hardly dead. Stand up for equality, a life equality, where the law don't bother me, no war or poverty.
Stand up till it's peaceful
against all evils. Stand up, put your hands up, stand for your people.
I believe in peace, but believe peace will never come. Too many mums lost sons and brothers to the gun. Either that or the thought of torture when they're hung. That's why they throw rocks and stones at tanks never run. I mean, you know how many people deceased in the season, and you talking about bringing peace to the region, please. Mothers on knees and they screaming peace. They ain't ready for peace till they even. You got plans made, settled and handshaken. More borders, maps and lands taken. There's no order, they trapped and it's all over. Homes getting gunned and run by bulldozers. No matter who survives when troops arrive, civilian casualties get covered up by food supplies. Listen, we got plans and messing your plans up. Got people with hands up that's ready to stand up.
Stand up and demand some answers. See past the lies and these ignorant classes.
Stand up for your rights, like Marley said. They carry on like we ain't here, but we're hardly dead.
Stand up for equality, a life equality, where the law don't bother me, no war or poverty.
Stand up till it's peaceful
against all evils.
Stand up, put your hands up, stand for your people.
Yeah, Bismillah, la. It ain't the way that they say that it was. It ain't the way that they say that it is.
Salam alaikum fam, I was awoken from my Fajr Salahs. Made wudu, did my 2 rakahs, alhamdulillah. My dua for today was that you brothers be safe. I heard over the weekend you were digging your graves. I in my school uniform, off to school in the morn. Mother prepared my favorite lunch, halal chicken and sweet corn. I make sure I say Bismillah before I take my first bite. I couldn't wait to write this letter last night. I've seen horrifying things through Islam channel. Horrible pictures of my brothers and sisters scattered by detonated shrapnel. As I depict emotions of an adolescent weeping for their mother as they return to the essence. Keep your hopes up, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is forever merciful. And like the Rasul, must follow his steps to prosper. This is Abdul Rahman, your London brother. I am awaiting for your reply, please make it soon, inshallah.
Wa alaikum salam, okay for how today was foul. My mama feeling like Malik and Mo, cause she never smiled. Looked out the window to a misty haze. I saw Hussein in the garden digging his grave. I ran down the steps, kissed mama on the cheek. She know her son fight for the dome of the rock with stones on the street. Mama always reciting the verse of the throne. I out to Qudsi, I'll be back home. I told Hussein I have a good friend in London. He a Muslim too, I sent letters to his school. He don't believe me though, he said we the only Muslims out on earth. So please telling about Islam and British.
This goes out to my brother Hussein. I know it's hard to believe you are not alone when striving through the pain when you're on your own. It's almost the same, but less aggressive over here. You hardly see the violence, but the verbal abuse bombards your ears. I've had many infidels spit at me and kill off the state. We would live peacefully to the 3rd degree, but that's off the subject. If you see the local news, you'd realize that Muslims over here get no respect. They've handled mashes with a pig's head, attack the elders, but the media keeps the population misled. It's gone as far as our brothers biting to the peak of seeing red and physically fist fighting whilst I'm writing. Jack Straw, who was a puppet speaker, made a comment to our sisters wearing veils hiding their features. The best in decoy material, because that week they found the biggest amount of explosive chemicals.
Hey yo, Aki, I'm happy you replied back. Hussein couldn't make it. Israeli strapped into the front of a tank to stop us from throwing rocks. They pop us and blow us up, lock us and hope we rot. If the rockers could only stop before my pops is made shaheed, he would plead for the Muslims who lead to send their armies to defend the Muslimin. But instead of armed troops, Khaliji kings sent truckloads of stones. They wonder why I'm a scarred you. This is the 15th janaza. Hussein was stripped on the Gaza, not of his foe, but his soul was taken to meet his master. My tears fall no more, my hands molded by war. And who is Jack Straw in the face of Allah's laws?
It's just a word, isn't it? It's just a name. What's in a name? There's a lot in a name. I'll give you one name that means so much to me. Janine. Janine? Janine is just a place in Palestine. I tell you no. Janine is a place that makes me want to be a better believer. Every day a better believer.
Your remarkable landscapes are fading away. Now a barren wasteland is all we're seeing today. They cover your soil with the blood of numerous martyrs who give their life to the struggle when times are the hardest. Oh sweet Janine, tell me, will you ever be free? No more occupied, oppressed like they want you to be. You deserve much more than Christ from a child. Seen his whole family murdered, bodies all piled. And when a Zionist decided to kick up a fuss, he grabbed a bulldozer and turned my house into rubble and dust. Oh sweet Janine, tell me please, what will it take to stop the genocide continuing inside of this place? To put an end to all the madness. Last week we were forced to strip naked. My mother refused, cause she said that our body was sacred. So they burned down my school, and I wonder who's responsible for making those rules. Why are they here? From who were they sent? They drove us out from our home, now we live in a refugee tent. Mommy cries herself to sleep and daddy's scared. Does the world know what's happening? Does anyone care? It doesn't seem fair. My little brother's only 5 but already in a wheelchair, cause he got shot while praying in the mosque. Now his happiness is gone and hope almost lost. Look deep in my eyes and tell me, what do you see? Do you see a terrorist or a child that wants to be free? 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 I just wanna be free. Check it, yo, yo. For how long more we will be degraded by these vultures? Have our sisters dishonored while they treat us like filthy cockroaches? I swear I'll die trying, cause in the depths of my heart lies the soul of a soldier who rather die serving his maker than live by the laws of this Zionist culture. I've been stripped from my rights, now enslaved in my own birthplace. Just take a look at my people, can't you tell by the pain on their face? Can't you see by the way that they live? When the children are crying, they're hungry and there's nothing to give. And if we speak against oppression, they're quick to put holes in our joints, force our women to give birth in the streets next to the daily checkpoints. So the next morning after Fajr, with the book of metal piece, I dug a hole as deep as I could, kissed my mother's forehead and hugged her for a little longer, cause I knew that I should. She asked me if I'd make her proud, then I told her I would. Then without looking back, I walked to the outskirts of our refugee camp. There I stood like a lion, my heart never sank, staring at the next tank. I said, look deep in my eyes and tell me, what do you see? Do you see a terrorist or a child that wants to be free? Or a child that wants to be free? Or a child that wants to be free? Or a child that wants to be free?
And Israeli generals, they will tell you, it's the city of cockroaches. We will tell you, it's the city of angels. Our beloved prophet, he said in dua, oh Allah, let us live like princes and die like martyrs. And we said Ameen for Janine, inshallah, inshallah.
The United Nations General Assembly, which helped to create the State of Israel, now elects her a member nation. Assembly President Abbott announces,
formally declare Israel admitted to membership in the United Nations.
Although Britain abstained from voting, congratulations are showered on Israel's Foreign Minister Moshe Sharett from all the delegates. The young republic, born of war, now joins the Council of Peace. The blue and white Star of David is added to the flags of the 58 other member states. Simultaneously with her admission to UNO, Tel Aviv, capital of Israel, celebrates the first anniversary of the state's independence. Crowds are so big that a giant parade has to be cancelled. In synagogues throughout the land, thousands of worshippers attend Thanksgiving services. The day is declared an official holiday, and in Jerusalem, parades take place as scheduled. The milling throngs keep their good spirits despite the crush. They salute the men and women who helped build a new democratic state.
Yo, this is Masikah, aka Stylah. You can't rule the world, man. This ain't pinky in the brain. There's Muslims here that will fight. We only bow for Allah. Who you think you is, man? Stylah. Check it. Would you let a herd of sheep govern the globe? Allah says they worse than cattle, so I speak to these animals like King Solomon. So these fascists practice tactics of Adolf Hitler. Philosophical scriptures shadow patriotic pictures. You plan, but Allah plans quicker. From stormtroopers to United Nations, divide my patience, multiply my hatred. When I spit's blatant, they present themselves as protectors of peace by utilize terrorist methods to establish their beliefs. The forerunners of the beast who claim to police this godless political system which bears the crimson of innocent women and children. United neglectors who seek to protect their own efforts. You occupy lands, robbing sovereigns, sanctioning third worlds for basic needs to satiate your greeds. May Allah cause your soul to bleed with the pain of a mother who sees her daughter crushed into minced meat. Allah builds and destroys kingdoms in His infinite wisdom. Yeah, Allah builds and destroys kingdoms in His infinite wisdom. Yeah, Allah builds and destroys kingdoms in His infinite wisdom. Allah builds and destroys kingdoms in His infinite wisdom.
World leader, script reader, evil breeders with poisonous needles destined for a disposable people. UN, wicked men, secret agent in disguise. Secure the oil field, patrol the pipeline. Scarab stone satellites, upon the round table they dine. Murder with a smile, funds wired as they drink their red wine. The centrifuge refine the formulae. Kryptonite in the Samsonite, the world is mine. Mature cheddar, gold temp the beggar, watch him climb the spine. Savior the flavor. So what the hell have the UN done for Africa? Mugabe's toy soldier massacre. HIV, mama hungry, stressed, no milk left in her breast. Dehydrated newborn later rest, he didn't make it. Stars and stripes conquer sacred. Middle East on a plate, go ahead and take it. Petroleum pen, stroke the blood of many men. Drenched third world, nuclear war plans on the shelf. Protect yourself, protect yourself.
United neglectors.
The UN is a straight joke, hiding behind the smoke of burnt bodies out in Lebanon. Another reign of terror from the Zionist era. Your vocal cords severed, I bring the forecast like weather. Who we relying on for peace? The man Kofi Annan, he undermanned us to say the least. See, he under strings of superpowers, they'll never allow us. Same men who organized the fall of the Twin Towers. Shell showers rain on bodies in the Middle East. Disciples of the beast, artillery make killing with ease. Receiving pats on the back for laying mans down flat. Peace to Hezbollah for not standing back, and that's that. The Senate think they got the world in their palms. Allah will restore your flesh to its fingertips, be alarmed. No doubt, I hate politics, son, but it's always trying to catch me out. Still, this beyond debate, cause the earth that is my house.
Though they claim it was approved of by the United Nations, it was, but then again, the United Nations had no right morally to be able to approve such an idea, because I often give an example of supposing the the United Nations, sitting in New York, would suddenly decide that there should be, that let's say, I live in Lancashire, let's say Lancashire should be set aside as a state for Jews or for any other people. Can you imagine how the British people would react to that?
Yeah, this is a small attempt to try and put you in the positions of the Palestinians, so you can see it from their story and walk a mile in their shoes. Masikah. I know you can see the injustices happening to the Palestinians. Is your heart that hard that you can pretend it's non-existent? Please put yourself in their condition. What if while you slept with your wife and kids, your door got flown off the hinge of your local apartment? They snatched Gemma from her bedroom, tied her in the lounge next to your wife without a dressing gown. Could you see yourself pleading to release them? You might wish they feared God at this moment, but they only heathens fondling your wife, knowing she's 7 months pregnant. They touched her breast, ran their hands up her thighs. Devil's men, where's Gemma? A scream from the corridor cut through the atmosphere. The smell of rape, she only 13. Wishing dad was here to save her. Powerless, but you portrayed the braver. They brought Gem back in the lounge, blood dripping from her labia. What would you do? Would you let rage consume you? Self-destruct, your family structure's been ruptured. Any help is luck in front of your wife and daughter. When you thought it was up, they stripped your dignity, sodomized your privacy. And while you lay helpless, they place bets on what's inside your wife's pelvis. Open a womb up like a can of shellfish, stomping on the fetus. They blew a hole in your wife in the name of Jesus. Filthy creatures occupying your household. How would you react? Would you strap bars to your chest cause you felt oppressed? Mental booby trap. How would you feel seeing these people titled as heroes after they stressed your home medallions of honor to represent the throne? This is exactly what's going on in Palestine. While you criticize the reactions of Muslims over a glass of wine, knowing full well if this was your position, you would resist to exist, strive to survive for the sake of living.
Yeah, check it, cataclysm, yo. I've got a duty to protect my family by any means. With ducking shots, bombs dropped from the F-16s. Kalashnikov spit death, mothers cry with no limbs. They rip our trees from the roots like they do to our dreams. Put yourself in my shoes and try surviving the most horrific of scenes. Every day is a torture, I'm haunted by the pain that it brings. Unable to sleep, my belly's rumbling, plus there's nothing to eat. I hug my mama tight while she cried for the night. Daddy was brutally murdered cause he put up a fight. I dug his grave the same day, but they forced me to stop. They said it was a dog, it should be left there to rot. I swear I cried tears of blood until I wanted to die. Recited Surah Yasin, then looked at the sky. I've had visions of meeting my father, so that's the path that I'll choose. But before you go ahead and judge me, make sure you walk a mile in my shoes.
Okay, let's rewrite history, close your eyes. Take your mind back to the frightful night of June 13, 1944. It's the Second World War, London's under attack, it's getting blitzed. 41,000 civilians, maybe more, have just lost their lives, including your wife. You think of your kids and how to survive. This long, they're hungry, they're tired. Your land's occupied, foreign tongues call you scum. You're hated, despised, standing in line for rations, baked beans, no toast, dished by some dirty Jerry named Hines. Picture the scene, it's gross as you approach. He sees the hate in your eyes, makes you an example for most as he spits on your child. Your chest gets tight, your dignity, your pride, it burns, it hurts, you wanna fight. You think of your child, safety's first, of course, so you turn as you do. There's a yearn, an urge to rip out his throat and take flight and duck in the night and run a mile in these shoes, but they're too tight. They burn souls and burn souls, no one goal. Revenge is a dish best served cold. Foretold, they built walls, keeping you stranded, surrounded by bulldozed homes. The world knows of your plight. No water, no power, no shimmering Piccadilly lights, just confined within a giant wall, clinging to life on all fours. The young fall, your tears pour, you're all poor. You're now getting a glimpse of a life that's too raw. It's hardcore strife, plus the violence means you minus the innocence and add some more gore. Imagine Paul from next door, just 10 years old and riddled with holes as he crouched behind his father Daryl, his arms raised by the barrel, pleading, stop your fire. My son, he's bleeding, he's dying. Now Daryl is crying till a bullet full of hate made Daryl retire. Now please tell me, how does it feel? What would you do? How would you fare if you had to walk a mile in my shoes? When you die in the news and the world approves, would you succumb or resist till your world improves? Walk a mile in my shoes. Now walk a mile in my shoes.
Theoretically, you're due for a share of these. They're real Jaffas being gathered in the groves of Palestine for shipment to Britain. Retailers will be asked to display them immediately they're received. So get a look at them now, it may be your only chance. 50,000 cases of the finest oranges are brought to the quayside and slung into freighters. Happy hunting, housewives. Hope you get the fruit and not the pip.
In the name of Allah, most compassionate, most merciful. This one's for Palestine.
فلسطين انت المنى والرجاء فلسطين شعبك داء العناء فلسطين يا أم الشهداء فلسطين انت المنى والرجاء فلسطين شعبك داء العناء فلسطين يا أم الشهداء.
Yo, enter the land which we once termed holy, where peacemakers phony and the land stolen slowly. That's what my father told me, tempted with the smell of cash paper flow. So acres stolen slow, sun watched through the smoky window as the tanks rode in, and his next of kin got buried at the hillside and took their livelihood in a flush. Zionists don't ask, they crush. Zionist bodies infiltrate the perimeter with the war machinery sinister, straight diminishing bread, milk and honey living. Allah give illusion that they winning. The devil's grinning as they take down the seeds planted by the women. It's what I'm feeling. The UN united neglectors, Zionist protectors, along with sellouts, defectors from my own peoples, taking money and run as the tactics implement to starve a nation, militarize a generation. Through the media they demonize the victim. I'm at a war of words with the system, and in case I miss them, united snakes of America support murder, support the killing of innocents through agricultural slavery, and in that light I rebel like a peasant with a pitchfork. When you enter my soil I don't talk, it's straight defense, so we knocking down the fence, inshallah. Knocking down the fence, inshallah.
Palestine يا حبيب Palestine. Hey yo, young blood gone down in Palestine. Don't say goodbye son, I'll see you on the other side. Eye for an eye, black rain, watch them bullets fly. Teardrops symbolize desert rose on the front line. Stone cold war, silent death, sinking canines. Granite headstones, annihilation. Fire and brimstone in the hearts of Muslim nations. Lord forgive, for they sacrificing tribesmen. Crucify their children, under siege, barricading buildings. The target held hostage, troops held your swastik. Berlin Wall, burn them all. Desperate moans echo through the olive groves. Breaking bones, bulldozing homelands. Fistful of sand passed through my fingertips. Murdered on the Gaza Strip. Another pebble rebel hits the deck. On my knees meditating east. I pray for peace in the Middle East. I pray for peace in the Middle East. I pray for peace. I pray for peace.
Hey yo, fertile lands where seeds grow like a womb. They grew beautiful, now they in a tomb. As the tanks roll by, I hear the mother cry. Son, it's pitiful, theft by professional criminals. The groves, 30 years of harvest. The hunger's the hardest, the days are the darkest, but we reflect light through the smoke screen. Groves of holy Palestine, the groves of holy Palestine.
انتي المنى والرجاء فلسطين شعبك داء العناء فلسطين يا أم الشهداء فلسطين 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 انتي المنى والرجاء فلسطين شعبك داء العناء فلسطين يا أم الشهداء فلسطين فلسطين.
Yo, check this out. The Israeli army ain't just inflicting human casualties, they're launching assaults on the whole environment of Palestine, its natural way of life. These totalitarians are cutting down trees and uprooting farms to build fortresses from where they can launch their disastrous attacks, stomping in their Nazi boots through the wastelands, condemned by everyone apart from the United Snakes. The list goes on. Water wells, killing animals, destroying the beehives, man. What do they think, the beehives will be the destruction of the Israeli state? These people are drunk in their own paranoia, destroying themselves. It's funny how the oppressed became the oppressors, aggressively destroying, slyly stealing olive trees from in front of a Palestinian's face in broad daylight. Don't forget about the struggle, my brother. Don't forget about the struggle.
فلسطين انتي المنى والرجاء فلسطين شعبك داء العناء فلسطين يا أم الشهداء فلسطين فلسطين.
And they've had to use force ever since their state came into existence. There's never been a day, I would say, that since the state, so-called State of Israel has come into existence in the last 50 how long is it now, 57, 58 years, that they haven't had to use force in order to keep the state going. So obviously Zionism, by its very concept, has to approve and conduct itself with force constantly.
This goes out to Al-Quds.
Jerusalem. Oh my soldiers. March on Jerusalem, starts from Jerusalem, the heart's in Jerusalem. Break down the walls of Jerusalem, and cement factories producing them, bulldozers, all them explosives. Water's poison, high with the dosage. Let the people drink the wells. We as people can think for ourselves. That's right to freedom, salam to the rebels. Peace to you cats out west on our level. Let no house of on align with the devil. So for gold, the whole heavy metal. Yeah, we want peace, I mean many pieces. Oppressors we crack down and feed them our feces. Humpty, dub, you have a great fall. Enough, let's tear down that wall. Come on.
الأذان ورنمة جرس صوت الأذان ورنمة جرس
Allahu Akbar, I hear the azan. We pray first, then recheck the plan. Thought I got later, check out that man over there. Behind the sandbags looking scared. Throw down your arms. He opened fire, moment later blood soaked his attire. The choppers came in, quick on the raid. Muhammad Ali pulled out the RPG. The next day front page of Jerusalem Post set a helicopter down by technical foes. Yeah, right, back to the fight. Stranded, had to move an inch all night. We stepped fast, blast past the guard out. Fletcher prayed again and felt a lost power. They cowards, yeah. Then came the breakthrough. The racks Jerusalem, we coming to take you. Now we survive for years, building underground against all the fears. Our time is now, if God's willing. Liberate the children first and those bound on blood to this earth. Troops of the Mahdi, I see a man. Can it be Isa? Alayhi salam.
من أعلى الماء
giving birth to your olive trees, making your oil. I've been shelter for the dead martyrs, fathers who toiled, laid to rest with a hole in their chest. Love those the best, I'm the defense of your women folk. When they arrest them and undress them, what you waiting for? Now pick me up, pebble rebel, I'm your lock star. Your smoking barrel, I'm the bullet for your slingshot. Must have a barrel, choose me, I was a part of a bigger Bode. Salahuddin's army catapults, they threw me over, that's my CV. Yeah, I lost a bit of weight, but lean is the new black. You deny me my fate, yeah, I want it back. I don't mean to sell myself, but see, these armored tanks, they ain't nothing, bruv. They scared of me, newfound hero, your ground zero, the foundation of a nation. Subhana Ta'ala's best creation, what's it gonna be? Little man, let me rock, bring them tanks, I don't give a stuff. I shout takbir, they've been crushing me for years now. No fear, now pick me up and wipe your tears back, you hear?
They say the good die young, now that's my word, son. I've seen them fall one by one but never turn. Run, they ain't scared to prance on these soldiers if you let them. Trust heaven or hell, it's the fate that awaits. They must bring the ruckus to these IDF monster studs, plus imposter spunks. We got them holster stuffed with some boulders, rocks, now that's my legacy. Shaheed blood forms the core of my memories, urging me, emergency, pick me up, it's on. Load your sling, take a swing from my dome, your home. That's my policy, sworn to protect my own. And it's a fallacy to think I'm just rock and stone. I'm a gravestone, I'm the flesh and bones. I'm that toil in the soil, I'm the turf from the lawn. I'm homegrown and well known to be thrown and hit a drone's dome and airborne. I reform, it's a bird, it's a plane, you're wrong. It's black stone and it's rock hard. It's rethrown from crushed homes where the young roam, where they're prone to be shown. In a sec, in a sniper zone, you be gone. Hit the deck, mate. Pop, pop, they drop shots. In a sec, you got hot. Some youth, they popped up. My brigade's made of young cops that won't stop. Protect what they've got. Face attack with slingshots, can't delay fate. Other day, tiny feet made their way to my spot in a haste. Pick me up, I saw fear in the face of this cub. Skinny runt must have weighed 25 kgs. Barely 8 years old, little pup didn't care, wanna rock. It's a cold, harsh world, heap of seeds full of guts, full of pain. Had enough of this life, full of strife. With a stare cold as ice, little Brad realized had to do what he must to survive through these times when you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. Its life had me locked in his grasp. I felt the pain in his clasp, barely fit in his grip. I felt the strain in this child, all he wants is to live. Sweaty palms, fingertips on a pump. From the heart to the arms of this kid, let it rip. But before I was launched, he was hit. Now he lays in a ditch with a smile on his face and a rock by his fist. I know this boy, you're that Faris kid. For you there's reward, Allah knows what you did. May your soul find its home in the hearts of green birds. It won't hurt not a bit, no. And give salams to Salah, tell my son that he's missed, bro. But wait, what is this? Once again it's on. A bigger hand, tougher grip, southpaw stance form. And the roar of a storm took beer and I'm gone. Allah praise airborne as I hone on a drone.
The Orthodox Jewish verdict on the state of Israel is that it is a totally flawed concept. It is a concept which has no basis, which is wrong morally and from the Jewish religious belief point of view. Our prayer is that the state of Israel should be totally dismantled peacefully. We hope, we pray that it should be dismantled peacefully, but totally dismantled, and be replaced by something which is entirely a regime for the whole region, which would be entirely in accordance with the aspirations of the Palestinian people. And if such a regime came into being, there's no reason why Jews and Palestinians should not be able to live together peacefully, as they have done, mostly for hundreds, even thousands of years. So we would ask the Palestinian people to realize that and to spread that message among themselves. Don't blame Judaism for Zionism. And carry on with peaceful resistance as much as is possible, but determined resistance, and you'll get there in the end. You will get there in the end, because the world, I'm sure the world is beginning to see the total basic repugnance and immorality of the Zionist regime. Carry on, don't give up, and eventually things will come right.